Hey guys, and welcome. Today we got the next episode of the Inside Battlefield podcast, and this time it was focused on vehicle changes that we can expect to see with Season 5, and it was actually pretty interesting. In addition to this, I also have some more details to the upcoming changes for Irish and Dozer, but before we get into all of this, just a little heads up, because tomorrow on May 23rd, there will be a server maintenance for Battlefield 2042 and Battlefield 5. It will start at 8 AM UTC, will take approximately 2 hours, and during this time there will be no matchmaking possible, not even for solo matches. So in case you've planned to play tomorrow morning or whatever time of day this is in your time zone, the servers won't be available. But now let's have a look at the vehicle changes coming with Season 5, because these are actually a lot more extensive than I had expected. Over the last couple of weeks and months, DICE did monitor the vehicle pick rate more closely and also the loadouts that players preferred and how the vehicles were played, and they identified that people chose vehicles to mainly target infantry with them instead of countering other vehicles or aircrafts, and that transport vehicles such as the MAV or LATV were responsible for a large amount of explosive spam on the battlefield. And these are also the two main points they want to target with the update. So what DICE is going to do is that, similar to the class system for infantry that they've introduced during Season 3, they will restructure the vehicle loadouts to give them a more clear role on the battlefield, but also to reduce the explosive spam. This means that all kinds of vehicles will have a different weapon pool after the update that is more focused on their role. So different weapons will be removed or added depending on the vehicle. And most explosive weapons will be completely removed from the ground transport vehicles to turn them into their supposed role to be transport and not attack vehicles. This does not affect transport aircrafts though, at least not for now, but the devs will keep an eye on them and see how they will perform after the update. To give you a few examples, for the LATV, this means that the 40mm grenade launcher is removed and also the 30 and 50mm cannons, as they cause a lot of the explosive spam we experience right now, but in return the vehicle will receive anti-air and anti-tank weapons to more effectively counter them instead of infantry. Then there is the Wildcat that will be pushed a lot more into its role as an anti-air vehicle and will receive an even stronger AA weapon, and during the podcast the devs admitted that this might make the Wildcat a little bit too strong, but they will monitor closely and take actions if necessary. In addition, the Wildcat will be moved into its own category to give it a higher availability and won't be in the same category as the EBLC Ram anymore. And as a last example for the ground vehicles, they mentioned the M5C Bolter, and this one will get an incendiary grenade launcher, but a different version from the one we have at the CAV Brawler right now, and in return the Bolter will lose its incendiary device layer upgrade. They will also remove the 30mm cannon here and replace it with a 50mm instead, which doesn't sound like the best exchange at first glance, but the 50mm is definitely a lot less annoying for infantry since it has a lower rate of fire and a lower reload speed. And the Bolter will also receive the detection pulse upgrade that allows you to spot enemies within a radius around your vehicle and mark them on the minimap. And in addition to all of this, the vehicle will get a more reinforced glass to protect the driver and the gunner seat, which means you won't be able to snipe or shoot them in any way anymore. And while this is a change that might raise some criticism, it's made to make the Bolter a better fit for its role as a heavy transport vehicle. What will also be added to vehicles with Season 5 are thermal optics, because this was something that was highly requested by the community for a long time, but it will come with a limitation, because the thermals will only be available for some of the gunner seats of vehicles and not for the drivers themselves, which is mostly interesting for tanks, and they will also only be an option for machine guns and nothing else. In addition, you can freely select them, so you won't have to use them and you can stick with the normal optics instead. And as a last point for the vehicle changes, there will be improvements made to chat gameplay, which means the third-person camera and the controls are adjusted to make them more responsive in the movement. Rear view control will also return, which allows you to control the jet while looking behind you, and jets will receive additional rocket pods that you can select instead of lock-on missiles. So in general, the weapon pool for all vehicles will get bigger, even though some weapon types are removed, but they actually added more weapons and weapon options. And what they also added, and that's quite a nice change, is that the new map we will get with Season 5 will have stationary anti-air weapons again, which means you won't have to rely on friendly vehicles or engineers that much if you want to get rid of an aircraft. This was completely normal in most former titles of the series, but in 2042 these kinds of weapons are missing from all maps of the base game and are only available for some portal maps. So they tried this out on the new map, and maybe we'll get some for the other maps as well, let's see. And as a last point for today, we also got some more details on the changes to Irish and Dozer that I wasn't able to mention in my last video simply because they weren't accessible at this time. But during the last week we got another blog post with some examples, especially for the new functionality of Irish Sentinel, and I want to share them with you as well, of course. First of all, we have some clips for the new movement of Dozer, who will be able to strafe, rotate and pitch a lot quicker with the shield equipped, and he can also ride ziplines again and protect everyone behind him from getting shot. And the spread for bullets that are deflected from his shield will also be increased, so it's less likely to get hit by your own bullets when shooting at the shield. And then for Irish, we can finally see how it will look like when the new sentinels are active. So in the clip here, there are two sentinels placed and both are in scan state, which is indicated with the red light. Then a grenade gets thrown and intercepted, and the sentinel that reacted goes into a 5-second intercept state that is indicated by the red flashing light. So the colors seem to be different from what they've told us in the podcast and match with the lights of the vehicle APS upgrade instead. But I'm not too sure about this, to be honest, because in the next clip the lights are green even though it's the same states. However, what's actually more interesting here is that only one of the two sentinels reacted to the grenade and not both. And this was explained by community manager Kevin Johnson on Twitter, because all sentinels that are close to each other will sync automatically. And this is a very important point in my opinion that was not mentioned at all in the podcast or in the blog post, because this makes the change to Irish look a lot less like a massive nerf. This means that when you place two sentinels and there are grenades incoming, one sentinel will intercept them during its 5-second active state, and when it goes into its 7.5-second cooldown, the second sentinel will still be active, which means you will only have a cooldown of 2.5 seconds. If there are more than two sentinels placed close to each other, there won't be any cooldown at all because you will always have one that is scanning or ready to be activated. And this is actually a pretty cool feature and sounds a lot better than only saying that Irish Sentinel will have a 7.5-second cooldown within which grenades are not intercepted. So details like this should be in the podcast or blog post as well. But that was it for today. Some more interesting changes we can expect to see with Season 5, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like or a comment below and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Until then, thanks for watching, I'm the Catwoman and you are awesome.